Hello, and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 280 at scavengerlife.com.
We are still in Ireland. We are currently in a round house.
Literally, it's round.
On top of a mountain overlooking the ocean.
It's kind of amazing.
It's really nice. Yeah.
It's like one of the first days that it's actually raining, which is weird. I did not expect that.
Yep. And yeah, we're here for another 3 nights, and then we finally go home.
Home
It's
again.
good. You know, I like being away. We've been away for 3 weeks now.
3 weeks, yeah.
But 2 weeks is kind of our vacation, and you know that's a long enough period of time where you just like get to spend days where you don't have to do anything. You can just relax and contemplate life. And now that it's almost time to go home, I'm ready to go home.
Yeah,
I'm not thinking like I wish I had more time.
Yeah, no, like you get to a point where you're like excited to do the things at home. You know, you're like, okay, I feel like I'm in like vacation bubble. I always feel like that, really, but you know, you're like, okay, there's stuff to do at home. It's good, good stuff. You know, you're not dreading it.
It's like I'm excited to go back to like our weird experiments and ways of making money and living and all that.
Absolutely.
And then earlier this week, we actually stayed in a castle. I found this place on Airbnb, and it was about 100
something,
$120 a night or something. And this guy and his wife bought a castle and were renovating it.
I mean, we didn't stay like inside the tall tower thing because that's not done yet.
Right, but he had finished some rooms of it, and it was basically a cottage. But it's within a walled castle, and there was a huge tower right next to us, and it was open, so
you could go in the tower.
Walk
it was
around
incredible.
It. Yeah, it's one of those crazy renovations.
Oh yeah,
but it was fun, and he owned a lot, or he didn't own all the land, but there's a lot of land around him, and we just took long walks, and it
was really cool. I mean, we're talking about doing our river house renovation for the next vacation rental, and then I see this guy. I'm like, oh, this is quite an ordeal.
Yeah, he puts us to shame.
Yeah,
but it's neat.
Yeah, it was cool.
And we have a car here.
Yes.
We rented a car, and it's really...
We splurged.
Yep, and Ryan's been doing a great job driving.
Oh, I thank you. Yeah.
Don't you think?
Oh, I am doing a better job than I thought.
Yeah.
I thought I would be like, knuckles clenched on the wheel, like, oh my God, but...
I don't think I've seen a single moment where you've been unsure what to do.
The only thing I've been unsure about is like directions, where like the GPS is going.
Right. And the problem is because they drive on the opposite side of the road than Americans. So I personally, I just admitted to it myself. I think I would get confused. So I was like, Ryan, why don't you drive?
And I was like, this is a horrible idea.
And then we got SIM cards for our phones, so we have internet access on our phones, and Google Maps, it's perfect.
Google Maps has been amazing.
Yeah. Takes us everywhere.
Yeah, no, look, like, this is the first time we've rented a car outside of the United States, and it's, like, amazing. It's great. Like, I love it so much.
It really has kind of unlocked our idea of traveling, because up until now, we've been just mainly going to urban areas, renting a place for 2 to 3 weeks, and just walking and taking public transportation.
Or taking a train somewhere, and that's fine. I think Europe is great for that. They have trains going everywhere.
But the idea that you can get a car for $25, $30 a day, I mean, it's really incredible.
It's amazing. I really love it.
So, and it is also amazing, it always reminds me that with just a credit card, you can go to another country. They'll give you, a $20,000 car, and people will just give you keys to their house, and that's
on
it.
Airbnb,
it's just this power of trusting each other.
Well, it was so interesting because we drove like 3 hours to get to this current Airbnb, and the woman couldn't meet us, which is fine. She told us where to get the keys, and it's just so weird to be like going from people's house to house, and they trust us, but it has to do with, number one, a credit card, and number two, online reputation, because we have, well, not with the rental car, but Airbnb, you have an online reputation.
Sure. Well, I mean, its credit card has a reputation because if you don't have a credit card, it means that
You can't.
it's,
Yeah.
you know, you have a bad its reputation for paying money back.
That's a good point.
Anyway, it's cool. All right, so let's talk about scavenging. So, you know, we like to try and scavenge wherever we are. It's something we do for fun, you know.
It's fun.
When we were in Amsterdam, we did a lot of scavenging and found a lot of good stuff. But here in Ireland, we just are not finding much at all.
Well, part of it is that people have told us that the whole like car boot sale season, because we're in October, is over.
Yeah, a couple of Irish scavengers have emailed us and told us, it's getting, I guess the cold weather is coming, so people aren't doing their car boot sales. And that's basically like a yard sales, you know?
Yeah.
So we've mainly been just going to those...
The charity shops.
Yeah.
But the thing was, it was so funny. We went to Galway for a like day trip the other day, and there was this one street that had all these charity shops, and we're like, this is great. We didn't buy a single thing. We couldn't find a single thing because it's all like those small charity shops with stuff from like... You know, H&M.
It's definitely not
you know,
like in America where, you know, our thrift stores are the size of like a large supermarket, you know?
Huge.
I mean, you know, they're in a mall, like a side street mall, and it takes up a huge shopping mall. You know, these are like little tiny stores, and they're just... I mean, from what we've seen, they're just pretty much stocked with pretty low quality stuff.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's just like...
I guess if I lived here, there was stuff I might have bought,
Like,
but it's nothing worth enough for us to pack and take home.
It's more like shopping for yourself. Like, you bought a hat at one of them because you didn't bring a hat and your head was cold, you know? Like,
I mean, you know, that being said, we might have gone to maybe 15 of them, so we haven't...
That's true.
Don't have a huge amount of experience. And then I look for auctions, you know, like estate auctions or, you know, where we could go, and I really didn't have good luck finding many of them. We looked for flea markets, but they're all on times when we're either not in the area or it just doesn't really work out.
Or a lot of those flea markets too, like they remind me of like, in quotes, Brooklyn style flea markets where it's like artisans making things and there's some antique sellers, but they're the sellers. They're like us, and the prices are.
It sounds like the
prices.
car boot sales are the things
Yeah.
that we would be comfortable with, and we just haven't found any of those. So it's too bad, but it's fine.
I also think we honestly, like me personally, I wasn't trying very hard because I'm like fully on vacation. I'm just like,
yeah.
Oh well, you know, like I'm doing other work online,
That's
like
true.
you know. So
and just briefly, thanks for everyone that sent us links to artwork. We had asked, you know, we're trying to find stuff to put into our new vacation rental, and we thought we would reach out to everybody. So yeah, thanks. You know, I don't think I was being fair because I was very like not specific about what we're trying to find. I said eclectic.
But what's really hard is we don't know until we see it. Like I'm very much into like mid-century art, pop art. I'm very much into pop art and mid-century art. But it's like some pop art is horrible.
We are looking for stuff that has color because the way we do it is we just have all white walls. So it's a blank canvas, and then the stuff that gets put on the walls
It's
are
colorful.
the things that will bring color.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Pop art.
Yeah. It doesn't have to have a name. It doesn't need to be fancy. It's just you know, it needs to look interesting.
So people can still send us some stuff. I'm totally interested. And you know what? I also love just seeing people's stores.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm so glad other people are selling wacky artwork.
But I have cash in my pocket. I'm ready to give it to you.
Yeah.
Before we talk about our sales and just eBay stuff, we did want to talk about this podcast, basically.
Yeah.
So one thing we've been doing while we're here, since we're away from home and away from our daily lives, we've been just kind of thinking about the big picture, and we've been thinking about a website, basically, the blog where we post the podcast Scavengers. Are things called what? Scavengerlife.com. That's it.
Have you not had enough coffee?
So, you know, people have always said we should probably update the site, and I think we're going to take their advice, and so we've been working on that. We're going to update the website. We've been using, and this is kind of technical for people that don't know this stuff, but we've been using Blogger.
Look, when we first started this blog, It was super low key. It was just like get it going, get it started.
We were doing it for ourselves. Blogger was great because it's free.
It's fast.
We didn't have to host anything.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was great. And we had no idea that people would actually come and hang out. So
yeah,
it's nice. It's a good problem to have. I mean,
right.
The problem is with bloggers, and many of you have pointed these things out, and you could make this list bigger, but things like Blogger doesn't make a link clickable. So if you copy and paste a link into a Blogger comment, it doesn't become clickable.
You can't click on it. You have to copy and paste it. Yeah.
You can't automatically embed a video or photo. So, you know, normally what you'd expect is if you put a link to a video or a photo, it would automatically show up.
Right.
So you could scroll through the comments and see photos and videos. It doesn't do that, and that's just Blogger. Blogger doesn't seem to allow you to comment through Chrome, you know, through the browser Chrome. I use Chrome as my primary browser, and it's so crazy. And Chrome and Blogger are both owned by Google. It just drives me crazy.
Well, and the other problem too is on Firefox, sometimes you'll get a JavaScript error where you're like, you can't comment. So
and Blogger stinks on the phone. I mean, I know some people listen to our blog on the phone, but really, it's
commenting on the blog.
Commenting is not good. Comments aren't searchable. You know, the one reason why we love to keep doing this is because people are posting really good information that have helped us, and it's crazy to me that all that information gets lost once a new post goes up, and so there's no way to search for it.
Yeah,
and also, you know, we've been doing this for coming up on
several years,
3 years, I don't know, a long time. You know, there's a lot of information that we've put out, and our archives are very difficult to navigate and to find. I mean, so we actually have hired somebody, a web guy who knows how to do this stuff, and he's going to move us over to WordPress.
Look, I've been using WordPress since they started, and I love it. I mean, the reason I used Blogger was because I was like, it's free, we don't need a server, you know, because I know WordPress, but now we're going back to it. Right.
We actually stopped using our WordPress like in 2006, 2007, because our WordPress blogs kept getting hacked if you don't keep up with them, and it was a pain to have to reinstall. Anyway, that's why we went to Blogger. Now we're hiring someone that knows how to do it the way it should.
Exactly.
And actually we're going to pay him a monthly fee to kind of like make sure things are looking right and keeping it updated.
Which is one of those things where, as all of you who are listening are business people, you just have to decide. It's the same with eBay. Do you hire someone, you know, or do you keep going on your own?
And those of you who have sent us donations over the past several years, we've actually been keeping that in kind of is like an account. And so we're now using that money to pay for this guy. So it's good. It's all a good thing, and we hope that it becomes a better site for people to communicate to each other and find information and that kind of thing. So I'm thinking it's probably going to be a month before I have anything to show you, but it's been good at using this like kind of downtime to work with him and get it started.
So the big thing about it is it's going to have an integrated forum. That's like the whole thing that we're trying to do, because comments are great, but we feel like a forum could, number one, it is more searchable, even though you can search comments on WordPress, but it's more searchable, and we feel like more people will want to participate in a forum.
Yeah, and I think we've figured out a way to do a forum where it doesn't look kind of too old school and clunky. It's going to be nice and clean and easy to find stuff and jump into conversations, and that's good. So instead of right now, everything's tied to the blog post.
Right.
And once that blog post gets pushed down, then that conversation ends and then you kind of start again. And there's a beauty to that, but we thought it might be fun to have a forum where people can have topics where they can, you know, and they can choose what topics they want to talk about. And
like,
we'll see.
How do you ship a hat? It's just a question that comes up all the time.
Yeah, so we're going to take a leap of faith here, invest some money, and hopefully make it better. So I don't know, it's more interesting and fun to talk to each other. Okay, so let's talk about eBay. This is our life. So we've been away for the past 3 weeks. Our handling time has been extended, so people know when they buy that they're going to get their item late, or not late, but when we come back.
We said we would.
We've sold 78 items on our first store and 15 items on our second store. So that's like 90 items.
So by the time we get home, because we have still a few more days left, it'll be like 100 things to ship.
So that's really good. I mean, and that to me proves that our idea of having a pipeline works. Oh
my God, I have to ship 100 things. That just hit me.
I mean, and that's for a grand total of about $4,000.
Look, this is the number one reason why the first time we ever did this, we were like, we have to keep our store on because we cannot leave that money on the table. Some people might cancel, but it's minimal.
Yeah, and so that's why it's so it works for us that when we're home and we're focused on doing eBay, we list like crazy. That's what we do. It's our life. It's our job. And we pump stuff into the pipeline. Then when we want to do things like this, work on another project, travel, do whatever, the pipeline still works and things still sell.
Yep.
So, and when we get back, I mean, we've been talking about it, you're going to go into a listing mode.
Yes. I have like so many folders to list.
Yeah, because I mean, we haven't listed anything in like 6 weeks.
Oh my God, I can't believe it's that long. Yeah. You're right.
And then I will be overseeing the renovation of our second vacation rental.
You will be the general contractor.
That's right.
The umbrella.
Yeah.
But real quick before we change topics, I do want to say about handling time, because we get this question a lot, and I think we fail to mention it every time. If you want to change your handling time, which is what we recommend when you go away, instead of putting it on vacation mode, just change your handling time and message people. You can do it through the bulk editor. And if for some reason you can't see handling time in the bulk editor, it's because you have business policies turned on. Now, I'm not going to tell you exactly how to do that. Just Google it or call eBay and ask them. But that's the mystery switch that needs to be switched off, is business policies. Or if you understand business policies, and you have different, 5 different shipping policies, you can just change the handling time within those. So that's my tip.
Yep. Okay, so let's talk about our numbers for this week.
Yes.
We had a much better week. I mean, again,
thank God.
We haven't listed, we haven't done anything. It's
we've changed our handling time lower and lower. Yeah. So I don't know if that's a cause. I don't know.
Yeah, it's maybe, but I don't know if changing it from 15 days to 10 days has that much.
But now it's down to 4 days. So.
Well, in my opinion, it's random.
Okay.
It's just a sign that eBay's a random
universe
pipeline.
Yeah.
Or whatever buzzword you want to put in there. So we sold 19 items for about $1,300 in our main store. So that's pretty good. I mean, that's an average price of $70. We were lucky this week and sold a handful of fairly high dollar items.
Yes. Thank God.
And to me, this starts happening as we get closer to the holidays. People are willing to start spending more money on items.
Right.
Just my personal opinion.
Yep. That's the hope. You know?
And that to us, for people is like us that sell the kind of stuff we do. We live and die on whether we're selling $20 items versus if we're selling $60, $80, $120, $200 items. I mean, our store. We have 4,000 items in our store.
Yeah.
We have all range of items.
All kinds of prices.
We do have the cheap items and we have the higher priced items. And some weeks people are just buying the cheap items, and we really feel that.
Yeah.
God bless the people that sell clothes and their average price is like $15. But they're still making a good amount of money because they're selling like 80 items. For us, it's a little different. We don't often have the huge volume. It's always having to do with making sure there's some $200 items being bought.
Exactly.
Anyway, we'll talk about some of those. Then our second eBay store, we sold 4 items for $100. a bit of
Hey, it's not nothing.
Yeah, and I appreciated the people in the comments last week who said we should just end our second store, import everything into our main store, and just go back to being one umbrella.
Well, look, I mean, now that eBay allows 10,000 listings on one store, which they didn't before, we were about to hit the limit. So it was like, oh.
So this is what, was told to us, that until January, February or something, they're going to get rid of that turbo lister or the other
turbo
thing.
lister.
There's a way to, right now there's still a way to import everything from the second store to the first store, but they're about to close that functionality down soon.
On turbo lister.
Yeah.
There's other ways to do it.
There is. Okay.
Yeah, there's like, oh God, what the heck is it called? It's like you basically download a like a CSV spreadsheet version of your stuff, and I forget what it's called, but
here's
more nerdy.
But here's the thing that confused me. I think what was being said to us was the listings would go over all the text and all that, but the photos you would have to reconnect, and that is a pretty big. It's a pretty big issue because we have 1,000 items. I mean, can you imagine having to reconnect 1,000 photos onto? It just seems like.
I mean, that would take me forever. It would be crazy. Yeah, it doesn't.
So, if someone has a more elegant way to transfer one store into another,
I would love
that
to
includes all the photos and everything, that would be nice. Because if not,
just let that one ride.
It really isn't that expensive to pay for it per month. And I feel like our sales, we can get those back going again. But anyway, our choice. Okay, things we sold this week. Number one, we sold a vintage girdle, which I don't even know what a girdle is. But
yes, you do. It's like, I think you bought this girdle.
Yep.
You're the one that.
It's this weird, like, historical female piece of clothing,
Yeah, it's like to like shrink all your like whatever your like
your body.
Yeah, it's to like make your like.
It's basically
it's like Spanx. It's like
basically
old-fashioned
Spanx.
That's exactly what it is.
Things where you can like strap on. It's just incredible to me the lengths that women have had to go through in their lives.
That is a key way of saying it.
Yep.
Have had to go through.
Right,
Not
exactly.
chosen to go through. Have had.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Anyway, we sold it for $35.
Yeah, so we had these. They're new with tags, actually.
Okay.
New with tags. They're from like the 40s.
I thought that we'd get much more for it, and we took a low offer because we've had them for
I think
a
we
while.
sold one for a high price, though,
Okay.
over 50.
Yep.
But they've been sitting for a while, so.
Okay, the next thing.
Now, this is all you, the Dremel shoe polisher. This thing is going to suck to pack. I will tell you that right now.
This is one of those things where I really am glad I have a beautiful, lovely partner because I saw it and I want to buy it, but it's going to be a pain to ship. It's one of these things where, it sits on the ground. It's got these spinning
fuzzy things.
So you can like put your shoe on your foot and just stand there and clean your shoes. And it's got a big, long handle. So you can stand up and like turn it on.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Right. So
but
we
the
sold
long handle.
So we sold it for $65.
How much did you buy that for?
It could have been more than 10.
Yeah, but still.
And we wanted more for it, but again,
Get it out of storage.
We are in the mode of taking offers.
Yeah.
We sold a wooden painter palette.
Yeah.
So like if you think of like an old school like Picasso, and he's painting a picture, and he's got like this wood thing that he's holding onto in one hand that has all
the
paint
colors.
on it.
Yeah. We always sell those.
We find them every so often, and we do sell them. And this one sold for $72.
And this one didn't have. A lot of times, the ones that have a lot of paint dried on them, they will sell for a lot because people want to hang them up as decoration. But this one didn't,
because it really does have a beautiful a look to it. And and this is one of those ones where we post for high, and we're just getting message after message from people like, "You're crazy. This is a piece of junk. Like, I can buy a new one in the store for cheap, and we just ignore those people because we're looking for the person, it's a good example of a long tail item. Yeah, who wants it for a decoration?
Right.
I mean, it looks in a way that you couldn't recreate.
Yeah, it's definitely vintage, like mid-century. So that was. Did we take an offer on that?
No.
No, it was on sale.
Yeah.
It was $72 on sale.
We also sold a vintage Honda helmet.
Yes.
From like the 70s, and we sold that for $115.
The motorcycle helmet.
And I've learned that from people on our blog is where that it's motorcycle stuff sells well.
Yeah. Now we had someone buy that for a really low price a few months ago, and they never paid. I don't know if you remember that.
Yep, I do.
But then but it's great because this is what makes me feel better about people not paying. I relisted it, and we got a much higher price for it.
Yep, I'm happy. I bought it for $5.
Exactly.
We sold a big piece of fabric for $150. And by big, I mean it was like a roll. It was like
I think it's like 3 or 4 yards. It's quite you can do a lot with that amount.
Right. And we've talked about this before. We always buy high quality fabric, and people say, okay, how do you know if it's high quality?
Well, okay, it's the feel and the weight and where are you buying it from? It's from an estate sale where they have a whole bunch of really nice fabric.
And the reason why people will pay for good quality fabric is because so much fabric these days is just cheap, like Chinese polyester. All the American fabric manufacturers in America, especially down its south, there were huge factories where Americans were making quality fabric, interesting patterns, and now all that's gone.
Yeah,
it's just been pushed overseas. So when someone can find a piece of vintage fabric, they'll buy it.
Exactly. And this piece was it's upholstery fabric, so it's like that's the heavy duty stuff that people pay a lot of money for. So if you're paying retail for that, eBay's a much better choice because you can get it at a better discount. So $150 for however many yards. They're probably actually, I think they even wrote to us, thanks for a great deal.
Yeah.
It was for me, I think I paid $5.
Not you. Well, I guess it could be you, but there are people that can buy good quality fabric now. But it is so expensive. Like if you look on Ralph Lauren,
oh my God,
these extremely fancy sites, fabric is so expensive.
We have friends who are proper interior designers, like high-end interior designers. The prices rich people pay for curtains is insane.
Right, incredible. So it's a good deal. And then the last thing it's mentioned, and it's one of those really good sales that helped us out this week, was a pair of fancy boots for women.
Yes, so we sometimes go to Goodwill. There's a Goodwill right next to the grocery outlet that we love to go to.
If we're near one, we'll
go to
stop.
one. We'll stop in and check it out. But okay, so I remember this one day I'm standing there in the women's section, and I see these 2 pairs of boots right next to each other. And you know how you can tell some are plastic, and I'm touching them, and I'm like, this is really high quality leather. This is glove leather. And there were 2 pairs, different brands, same size. I'm like, this was donated by the same person. So I grabbed them. They were $3 each. And these boots sold for $275.
Yep.
Because they're a high-end Italian.
And we could have maybe gotten more if we had held out. But
I was happy with $275.
We were hungry hippos this week.
So that's a good example of when you think there's nothing at a thrift store. I'm classic about this. I'm like, I don't want to, I'm tired. And you're like, dude, we could find $500 pairs of boots.
People that work in these thrift stores, they always will miss stuff because it wasn't an obvious brand. It was a brand I'd never heard of.
I'd never heard of it. And they're clustered with the cheap stuff. So it just looks, maybe this is cheap.
And we had talked about this on the blog a couple of months ago where we were talking about different ways of scavenging. We have been in our mode of we'll have specific scavenging times where we'll go out, bring them a whole carload of stuff, and then we won't scavenge for a week or 2. And then other people said they're the exact opposite. They probably live in an urban area, and they're like, every single day I will hit thrift stores, and maybe even the same ones every day, even 2 times a day, and I might not buy anything, but I'm always in there just keeping an eye out. And I feel like when we bought these boots, it was that style.
Yeah.
Those were the only things we bought out of the whole store. But if we hadn't have just popped our head in, we wouldn't have seen it.
Yeah.
All right, customer issues. Because we haven't been shipping anything, we really haven't had any issues. But we did have just a random neutral feedback on an item that we sold a month ago.
No, it was
How
like
long
a
was it?
month. It was
Yeah.
like September 1st.
I even forgot we had sold this item.
know.
I was like, did we even sell this? And what it was the buyer said the color was wrong. They didn't message us. They didn't ask to send it back. We didn't hear anything from them. They just gave us a neutral feedback that said color is tan instead of white.
Right, and so actually in the listing, this listing was so old. It was cream white. We were like, it's basically an off-white. And this person said it was tan, which in my opinion is like the slightest bit different.
But this is the good news, although it may take some work.
It's going to,
that as far as we've all experienced, and we've heard other people say this, if someone complains about color, that's not a valid reason to
return something
or to give you bad feedback, because there's photos. I mean, it starts to become a difference of opinion, and so
let me just clarify that they can return it, but they can't say item not as described over color.
Right, of course.
Just to be clear.
So you did try and call once.
Yeah, so we got the feedback. I called the next day
through the power of the internet.
Because we're in Ireland. And I got Anchor store service, so it's supposed to be like higher tier service. And the guy was like, I think he's incorrect. He's like, unfortunately, you can't get that removed. But he said two magical things. Respond to the feedback, saying you're happy to take a return, which I am. And send a message to the buyer saying the same thing. So I did that because eBay always wants to see that you're working with your buyer. They always say, reach out to your buyer. So I'm doing that. I've heard nothing. I'm going to wait till we get home because that's going to give it like a week or so. I'm going to call back and I'm going to say, I reached out. I have 30-day returns. I'm happy to take a return for any reason. I do not think that this neutral is valid. So I'll try again.
Cool. Okay, so some things, just some news or some links that we've seen around the internet. So first of all, Flim, who is on the Faith on the blog, she actually put a link to a new thing that eBay has put forward. It's called a sourcing guide. Yeah. And I think some people have access to it and some people don't. But basically, it's like kind of almost a database of like it's clothing brands, and then they help give you guidance on how much it should be priced.
Is it just clothing brands or is it something else?
And so it's not just, it's clothing, it's just like any category. And you can, I guess, it helps you also try and figure out, I guess, what categories to put stuff in.
That's interesting.
And it gives you like a graph of like, what time of year does this item sell better? And, I'm looking at something right now and it's like, we can't find enough information to give you. Well, it's probably because I haven't really typed in much information, but I don't know. It's
well, look, it's good that eBay's starting to give that kind of data because they have the data. They should show it better.
And and I guess this is good too for people who are just starting off on eBay and don't have like a history or an experience of stuff that they've sold before, and they can go here and just see that info. I'm always, again, because the kind of stuff we sell, I'm always a little bit skeptical of like kind of generalized info because, again, we've shown that you can sell things for high. But you know what? More information is good.
I think we need like a sound effect that just says long tail, long tail, long tail.
Right.
Like when we talk about this stuff.
So, So anyway, we do not have a lot of experience with it, but we will put a link to it on our blog. And
it's interesting.
And if you've been accepted to their new program, then
CC Fred's Premium, because he's all about the brand.
Yeah, no, he is.
I'm just saying.
He's good. In an article I saw, which is good, and it has a lot to do with the stuff as we talk about. And the article is, if businesses pay their workers more, it's been proven that the businesses make more profit. And this flies in against, I think, a lot of what a recent capitalism has been about, where the idea is pay people less, like companies make more money by paying people less, and they just keep driving people's wages down. And this has been a big problem.
Walmart.
And that's what this article is about. So, it's Walmart was really getting hit hard with paying people very poorly,
Yep.
where people were working full time for Walmart and having to take government benefits.
And Walmart was depending on that.
Right. And so it was this really bad PR thing for them, but not only bad PR, it turned out it was bad for business because Walmart's sales started going down because stores were becoming dirtier. Employees weren't as loyal to the company, so they couldn't keep good people. And I think, we live in a town where it's basically a Walmart's the big store, and we shop at Walmart, and we could tell that where if you go in and it's like a ghost town, there's 5 employees in the whole building, and but anyway, over the past couple of years, they actually changed this, and Walmart decided to pay people more. So they started paying people, $3, $4, and $5 more an hour. If they do certain things, they started, having training courses, and the whole goal is to try and make people think Walmart isn't just a place like a fast food place, like the worst kind of job you can get, where Walmart would be a job where you would actually want to work at and stay at and think you could actually move up in the ranks.
Right.
And what's happening is it looks like it's working, that Walmart's now making more money, having cleaner stores. So at the end of the day, we're smart and hard working people. Right. I think we're choosing not to participate in the job its market. We're choosing to work for ourselves because I don't know. My experience with working for other people has been horrible.
Horrible. Absolutely horrible.
Being paid much less than I think I'm worth, being paid not enough to have any loyalty to the company,
having your time just wasted most of the time.
It's not feeling like I'm being empowered, not feeling like I have a future. I mean, and that just might be the choices I've made at the companies I work for, but it was enough of experience where I'm just like, I'm out, we'll just do our own thing. And some business can't have me.
It's so interesting because we ran into somebody that
you can't have me.
I do. I do have you.
I do work for you.
It was interesting because we ran into someone who runs a business, a small business, and he was telling us about how he was like, I paid dirt, which was shocking to us. We were like, what? He basically paid, I think, minimum wage or lower to actual adults, people like I would probably work for him if I didn't have any other choice. He's like, I pay my employees dirt, which was a weird thing to admit, number one. And then the second thing he said is they never show up. Either they don't show up at all or they don't show up on time. And we were like, okay, so those two things are related.
Right.
It's just, and I understand, because we are people who are like, should we hire someone to help us? It's such a big freaking deal to do that because it's a lot of money to pay someone because you want to pay them well.
Right.
But once you do it, you have to pay them right. You cannot pay them and have them not feel treated right.
Yeah, I mean, just read the article. I'll put a link in the blog. It's very interesting. It seems like it's a big aha moment because wages for American employees have been going down for decades now, at least 20 or 30 years. And it seems like it's a big deal that people are realizing. Pay people more and they want to show up and they want to stick around and they want to be good. And you'll be able to get higher quality employees,
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, the other link I'm going to put on, and some of you might have heard this, it's radio story.
Yeah.
Post offices from around the world, they had a big conference.
Shipping nerds, listen up.
Yeah. And it's called the Universal Postal Union. They talked about how they should all work together. And it's interesting. Yeah. I did not know this.
I didn't even know that existed.
If you sent a letter to China, China would then deliver it to the person for free.
Right.
So if you pay the American post office, they keep all the its money, and then China would send it to the person for free inside their own country.
Right.
And then on the other hand, if China sent a letter to America, China would keep all the postage,
money,
but then America would deliver it for free. So it was this kind of quid pro quo kind of thing.
Right.
That's now changing.
Right.
Where they're now going to actually start splitting up that that
I'm surprised it took so long, because the whole point was, like you said, okay, if I am in Ireland and I send you a letter, most likely you're going to write back. But that's not the case anymore, because the internet, you know. So I'm surprised it took so long.
And the big part too was for packages, since so much of the mail is now being used not for like correspondence,
it's for packages,
and bills,
like China.
It's now for packages, and so that was the one thing. And actually, a big part of the story is about this: is that the American Postal Service has basically been subsidizing Chinese packages.
And we know that because you've bought stuff on eBay.
Many people have
for $1 free shipping from China or Hong Kong. You're like, how is this possible?
So this new agreement will affect something like that. China will now be paying more to send stuff here. They're still going to get an awesome deal, it sounds like, but it's not going to be free or almost free.
Well, and the other part too is the United States will be, I think, paying countries to deliver mail.
Yeah.
Like they're giving them someone in Japan sends a postcard here, they're going to give them some money back. Like it's not going to be,
it's more equal. So it's interesting. We live in a very our world's very tied together now, and so it's good to hear people talking about stuff like this. So I'll put that link to that
shipping nerds. You can now quiet down.
Okay, so our coming week we're finally going to get back home. We'll probably be back home. We'll be back home Tuesday evening.
My God!
The next time you hear us will be in America, and we're really excited to get back to work.
Yeah, I'm excited to go home.
Okay, so we did not answer any questions from last week, so we're going to do it all this week
because we have better internet.
So why don't we see what people have to say?
Okay, you can always call us on our voicemail line. The phone number is 540-407-8486. And if we have internet, we can listen to it anywhere.
Hello, this is Ryan. I'm a eBay seller, long-time listener, and I'm actually a postal carrier in Novato, California. It's great because I actually live on my own route. So I get to pick up and scan my own packages that I sell. Me and my wife do it together. And so appreciate your podcast for sure. It's very helpful. I did have a question, and it's regarding your new measurement list for selling clothing, and how you don't do measurements anymore, just the sizes. So my wife, she started that. She sold a dress, puts a size small on it, and the buyer, she first messenger asking her for the measurements. My wife didn't get back to her. The buyer, she's then bought the dress. My wife shipped it, and it didn't fit. So the buyer opened a return. My wife accepted it, no problem. But then the buyer gave her negative feedback saying that the dress didn't fit. She asked her for measurements, and she didn't provide them, so she gave her negative feedback. And so my wife called eBay and told her the situation, and they were not able to remove the negative feedback because the customer requested the measurements on the clothing, and she failed to provide that information beforehand, so she was not able to remove the feedback, the negative feedback. So I just want to know if you've encountered this situation, or I also heard that Ryan recalled eBay to get a negative feedback removed after it didn't work the second time. So I was wondering, do you call hoping that somebody else will remove the negative feedback if the first time doesn't work? So if you have any information to help out, we'd appreciate it. Hopefully this can help the rest of the group. Okay, thank you.
Okay, number one, the fact that you are a postal worker and you get to pick up your own packages is awesome.
It's so awesome.
Clearly, yeah. I think that's great. Yep.
I wonder if he can take home that scanner and he can just be scanning things as he's doing it.
I don't know.
So yeah, we are. we have been team no special as measurements. Just, especially for contemporary, it's clothing. You put the brand and the size that's on
the tag. Yeah. Now, I will say this, and we've mentioned this before, we get a lot of messages asking for measurements.
It's very true.
I mean, people are asking for measurements. We
probably get 4 or 5 every week, and we just ignore it because, we're away from our
I can't
inventory.
measure stuff anyway. But, it's a tough decision because I'm like, the thing also is dresses are like a whole other universe. Because a dress can be a size 4 and totally not fit you if you're a size 4.
Right.
So that's a tough one.
I would try calling eBay again, though, because although it does seem kind of unfair, because if your wife didn't tell the person anything untrue, and the person chose to buy it even though she didn't get the measurements she asked for, and so your wife didn't, it's misrepresent anything.
No.
So
I agree. You should, like I was saying with my neutral feedback, I think you should call back. The case for you is great because you took a return.
Yep.
That's part of it. You were happy to take a return if it doesn't fit. You gave the person their money back through an eBay case.
Yeah.
And
that's the kind of funky thing about eBay is sometimes you can get 2 different people on the phone and one will be more understanding than the other,
exactly.
And sometimes it means it's not even more understanding. One will feel more empowered than the other,
Right. So our advice, call eBay back, plead the case, keep it short and sweet, plead that case.
So Ryan, we've talked about this. So we've been its measurements, and it has helped. We can list a lot more clothing.
Yes.
We can list, it's 50 T-shirts really quick.
Yep.
Quicker. By just saying, it's a medium, it's a large. Right. And we haven't had any returns because of that.
Nope.
However, you've been rethinking that, haven't you?
I think what I'm going to do, because in the old days, we would have 4 different measurements for shirts. For a t-shirt, I think what I'm going to do, because I'm getting so many questions, I think I'm just going to put the chest measurement. I'm just going to say, this is a large, this is the chest measurement.
How about this?
I don't know.
How about when someone asks, you actually go and measure it, and then add it when they measure it?
I was thinking of that. Yeah, I might do that.
So that way we can list.
That's a good point.
That way we can list just as fast, but then we are providing the measurements when people ask for it, and then we're adding it so the information kind of builds on it.
And the hard thing is here's a great example. We had this Pulp Fiction shirt, and this guy kept messaging me over and over, 5 times in 1 week. Finally, I gave the measurements on a large t-shirt for a man. He didn't buy it. And then yesterday, someone bought it for $50 without asking a single question.
Yep.
So you're it's so hard because you're I'm still going to sell it.
Right.
So what do you do?
Yep.
Or of course, the question is, would I have sold it weeks ago when I first listed it if it had the chest measurements? I don't know.
Yeah. So it's just our experiment,
It is definitely an experiment.
But the goal for us is to see how we can get through in more clothes quicker.
Yes.
Hey guys, what's up? Have a question. But first of all, just discovered the podcast a couple weeks ago, and I've been binging on it. I love it. Love the advice you guys give, so thank you for that. What's going on? I've been selling off and on eBay since the late 90s, and just in the last year, got a basic store, blah, blah, blah. I'm starting to run up next to my selling limits and had a question about getting another user ID. Got a full-time job. I have my own business, so that keeps me plenty busy. But I love the thrill of the hunt and scavenging and reselling. So as far as the second user ID, I would just use it for now for the free 53 listing. When you establish that, I read on the eBay rules you can't reference your other ID or other store. My question is, do you just start from scratch with that user ID and your feedback 0? It's like you're a new user, or do they use your feedback on your other ID? Just kind of what's it like with that second user ID? That's my question. Thanks for the podcast. Love it. Bye.
Okay. Number one, there's a couple things to unpack here. Number one, if you're fairly new selling on eBay, or if they've given you
Those limits, right?
those go away really fast. They just want to see about a month's worth of sales where you successfully ship things, no one complains, and they want to make sure you aren't a scammer.
Yeah.
They will very quickly raise your limits higher than you're able to actually handle.
And what you can do is you can call and
Right.
ask, like, if you have feedback and sales and you ship stuff and it's fine, just call.
But they definitely want to see like 30 days of
at least.
Of successful sales.
Right.
You know, so that may slow you down a little bit at first. But what I think makes sense, it makes you really focus on the listings that
do it.
you do have, that you're researching them well, taking photos well, and you know, answering questions, that kind of thing. The other thing is, I mean, we aren't eBay, so these aren't our rules. But as far as I understand, eBay does have a rule: you can't open a second eBay ID just to get around
The limits.
a limit on the first store.
Yeah.
You're allowed to have as many eBay IDs as you want, but it can't be for that purpose. So
Right.
I'd be kind of afraid to start a second store if you're just trying to get around.
I don't
limit.
think you need a second store. I think you need to get the limits lifted, keep working on the first store. I mean, right now we're even questioning, why do we have a second store?
Yeah.
But if you do open a second account later, for whatever reason, there are lots of reasons why you would want to do that. Yes, you start from scratch. It's zero feedback.
It's like you're a brand new person.
Now, what you can do to get feedback is buy a bunch of stuff.
Right.
I mean, you know, that's feedback just as a buyer, but if you want 5, 10, 15, just buy some stuff on eBay just so you don't look like a zero.
Yeah, and also going back to at your first store, if you're running up against a limit that eBay gave you, you can put things on auction.
Yes.
You can sell stuff cheaper.
Yep.
I mean, you know, we're not
stuff.
into that kind of stuff, but you know, about dumping items. But if you feel like some of your items aren't worth as much, you know,
Just move stuff out.
be willing to move stuff.
And again,
you know.
call eBay.
Yeah.
Say, what can I do? I'm a serious seller. This is like a thing.
Yeah, and they'll even tell you, like, well, call us back in 2 weeks. You know.
Right, exactly.
So
They'll give you advice on what to do.
But
so.
but to end this, I feel like what eBay does is they give you a very small range right at first, and then very quickly it's just wide open, you know. And then suddenly you can list up to $100,000, and you can list 4,000 items. I mean, it's more items than anyone can handle in any shortened period of time.
Okay, that's it for the podcast this week. You can check out our blog at scavengerlife.com for the links we talk about and to join the conversation. You can leave a question or a comment on something you heard on our voicemail line. The phone number is 540-407-8486. We love to hear from you. We post an episode every Monday morning. On Wednesday, we post a What Sells video by us or other people that show what we sold and how much we sold stuff for.
And lately we've been doing it with Steve
Schultz.
Yep.
He's awesome making those videos. You can subscribe to us through iTunes or YouTube so you always get the latest episode. If you want to listen to our other podcast where we talk about our Airbnb rental business, that's at shampooandbooze.com.
And also we do have a vacation farmhouse that we do rent out.
Yes.
And we haven't mentioned it in a while, but a wintertime gets slow for us. So we're really into doing deals with scavengers that want to take like a winter vacation. We actually have Flim coming this coming week.
Yeah.
So she and her
Scavengers.
friend are going to come for a couple days.
That's
and
awesome.
We're happy to hang out with you if you want, or
meet you in person.
or we don't even have to do that. But you can find our place on the blog.
On Shampoo and Booze, we do link to it there.
And just we'd love to hear what you think, or I guess there's nothing to really see yet, but you know, we'll soon hopefully get an update to our blog and a forum, and we really look forward to having feedback, because it's really about making it easier for you guys to talk to each other rather than whatever us. So
Yeah. It's all about you guys.
all right, we're ending this in 3,
2, 1.
1.